Hi, everybody. Stephanie Simone here, jumping in on the First Alert Desk with breaking news. We are learning the former daycare worker accused of sexually assaulting several young boys worked at multiple BrightPath locations. BrightPath says it's been reviewing the employment records of Giancarlos Barrios Otero. They found while the Avon Center was his primary place of employment, he did fill in at locations in Simsbury, West Hartford, and Windsor for a limited number of hours in the last 4 years. BrightPath says it's not aware of any allegations or complaints about Barrios Otero from those locations. In a letter to families today, BrightPath says, quote, "We have shared this information with law enforcement and regulators and are continuing to work closely with them. We share the deep desire to understand what happened, and we remain committed to doing everything we can to support the investigations that will help shed light into the matter." Barrios Otero is charged with assaulting at least 5 young children while working at BrightPath's Avon location. That location has now closed, and the daycare is facing a civil lawsuit over another alleged assault by Barrios Otero. He is due in court in Torrington June 23rd. On the First Alert Desk, I'm Stephanie Simone, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.